Hey, Christian, do you think it would be worthwhile just to sort of give a brief description to people of what those results look like and how they're generated? Not the technology behind them, but what they sort of, the user experience. We have a lot of people listening who are probably familiar with it, a lot of SEO types and sophisticated marketers, but there may be some people who haven't used it and haven't seen it. Do you think that we should spend just two seconds on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically what you have is you launch a search, and then you either get an automated result which appears at the top of the page like a giant featured snippet against a colored background. There are a different number of listings. There's a carousel up in the right, and you can manipulate the formatting of the presentation. And so you may have 3 results, you may have 5 results, you may have a whole bunch of results. Product results look very different. Local results look sort of like an expanded version of the local pack. Then in other situations, you have a kind of colored bar across the top of the page which says generate, and you have to actually click the button to generate the result. So in the first case, it was automatic, it just showed up. In the second case, you have to opt in essentially. And then in many cases, there is no SGE, there is no AI result, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's not even an option. And it looks very different on desktop versus mobile. On mobile, it completely dominates the screen. On desktop, it's very visually prominent, but you can still sometimes see many of the organic links in the local pack beneath it.
Yeah, and I think I like right now, I think it was smart of Google to run the beta within existing results because it's helpful to compare. The experience you got with organic, the map pack versus what an SGE result looks like. And I think that's what we're all doing, is understanding the difference behind the results that Google's giving you. So I'm grateful for that, because otherwise, I think to your point, it does look very different when you get a full AI result. And it's not your natural scroll. There's not really a lot of way to interact with the results that you're not used to.
Yeah, and I mean, here just, some expectations and some of my fears the first day when I tried it, when I go on there, search for things and people or websites and brands that I know are ranking #1 right now, they were nowhere to be found on the SGE, right? I was freaking out. This keeps changing, right? So how do you guys, as beta, right, where it's very early in the game, so we see it changing every day, but how do you see that consumer behavior change a little bit when it comes to the, let's say, tree pack, right? Because we're talking about location marketers and how to prepare for this. What do you think there, Greg?
Yeah, because we don't really have any good empirical data. We only have a lot of anecdotal information, and everybody's sort of trying to assess what the impact is going to be. I have a very ambivalent relationship to SGE. I like it on the whole. I'm not sure it's particularly helpful, just as a practical matter. But I have wanted to see the SERP change, because I have some critiques of the SERP. So I kind of like it that they're changing things, but I'm not sure that you're getting a lot more value from it. I think that people will inevitably respond to it because it's right there. It doesn't obscure the ads. Ads are not changing at all. Ads still have a prominent place, but it's so visually prominent and captures so much of that real estate on that page. I don't think how people will definitely respond to it unless it's not there.
Yeah, and for those of you, listening and watching, I think we can pull up some examples here so we can really emphasize a little bit more into this whole, like, hey, how different is this we're talking about? Especially because the beta, I understand, is only available in the US, so I know people watching anywhere else probably haven't been able to play with it. So Krystal, why don't you guide us through example 1, because I know this is the way you search, right? I love it, but it's definitely not the way I would search for a restaurant.
Yes. So I do a lot of traveling. I meet my team or clients in other places. So I did what I think is a typical local search. And you can see here, lively restaurants in New York City, which if we're thinking about and comparing what a local result would look like pre-SGE, I'm definitely going to get a map pack with possibly some, organic links underneath going to TripAdvisor and Yelp top 10 lists, top 25 lists. I know what to expect. And here you can see the SGE result. So the first thing that I see is Google is going to give me what they believe is like what I'm searching for. And this is where I think the AI comes in. So you can see like there are many lively restaurants in New York City, including spots known for their cocktails, Italian food, and French cuisine. That part I think is actually quite interesting, where they call out specific details about the restaurants that they've decided to choose that, from my perspective, don't necessarily have anything to do with my query. But I think that's also like just me being a searcher trained on how to search on Google to get the results I want. It's quite interesting to see. So you can see we've got, 5 listings here. They all have kind of similar detail that we're used to, but I think one of the really big things missing from the map pack are CTAs. You don't see, like, I don't know what to do when I get this list. I don't see a click for a button. I don't see driving directions, menu, food ordering, all of those things I'm used to. So I think from like a standard consumer perspective, I'm just given information, but it doesn't actually draw me to take an action. So I think that is a pretty big shift to what we're used to. If I hover over some things, I will see that they can be clickable. So you can see if I hover over like the name, then I believe I can click on the listing. But again, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to from a map pack. And then just other interesting things, like it is still pulling out things like reviews and price and categories and cities. And then there are like these little descriptions where it'll like describe the place. Some of it call out just like the features in the menu. And then you have other ones that call out like the number of reviews. And again, I think this is Google's attempt at pulling out the content and information that they know about this place that they believe will be relevant to me to make a decision.